Welcome to the Nullified Take, where we've got the TNT takes for you on Australian Survivor, Blood versus Water. Firstly, I would just like to thank everybody that has been supporting this channel over the last couple of weeks and almost 2 months now since it's been up. We've nearly got 200 subscribers on the channel, and I thank you very much. If you haven't subscribed yet and you're checking out the content every now and again, I hope today is the day that I earn that subscription. And also, just to throw a little bit of an additional incentive in there, I will have a competition running as soon as we get to 500 subscribers. 500 subscribers is a really big goal for this channel, because if we reach that, I can start putting community posts up, I can start putting polls up, and really get the audience engaged in what it is that I'm doing on this channel. So if we get there, I will put an Australian buff up as a potentially up for grabs competition for listeners and viewers of this show. So please hit the subscribe, hit the like button, comment below, and let me know what you agree with and what you disagree with on this video. We're going to talk about the top 5 takes that I've got for this episode, and we're going to start with number 1, and that is that an all-star is born this episode. We hear that Nina is going to have to leave the game. She has torn a ligament in her ankle, and she comes back with a moon boot on after she's competed in a challenge. And we see that everybody is extremely upset about this, and that they really had some tough emotions with seeing Nina leave this game. And I think a lot of this came down to the fact that Nina's tribe mates knew how much she loved this game and how badly she wanted to play it. And Mark even said it here this episode. He said that, she's been living in the shadow of her mom, who she's watched play this game for so many years, and she finally gets the opportunity to go out there just to be taken out by one of these crazy tough challenges that we get on Australian Survivor. And you just hate to see someone go out this way in the game. I felt that she played an extremely good game, and that she had great relationships with people in the game. And I actually think she would have gone really deep, and she felt she could have gone really deep in this game as well. So, man, oh man, I don't get emotional very easily when I watch TV shows or things like that. But Australian Survivor, they just have that way sometimes of doing that to you when you watch it, that you feel very engaged, and you want these people to do well because they become so likable on the screen and you feel like you know them. So I felt extremely gutted to see Nina go out of the game this way. You just don't want to see it. And I hope that JLP sticks true to his word and he brings her back. Who knows? Maybe, he can put her into that Australian versus USA season that we're all wanting to happen one day. Would be funny to see her play against the USA franchise that rejected her when she applied for David versus Goliath. That's what I've heard in any case, rumor innuendo. Number 2 for me, Jesse, aka The Kid. His character and legend continues to grow within this season, and we see a lot more of him and his thinking in the game. It does make me wonder why we haven't seen a lot more of this earlier in the season. If he's truly a contender to win this season, I think we would have heard a lot more about what he's been up to. But he talks about the fact that he has had this plan from day one to get very close to Ben, who is obviously his biggest threat in the game, or that's how he sees him, and that he continued to befriend him and make jokes with him and made him feel comfortable with him. And he's the person that's going to keep Ben calm this episode as they try to blindside him. It's quite funny to see this because Ben is absolutely oblivious and thinks that Sam and Jesse is there to help him in the game and that they're going to work with him. Now, Jesse is really a threat. I mean, there's not many players in the game that will do that. I think a lot of people really struggle to be fake in front of people. It's not something that comes natural to them. But in this game, that is very important. If you don't get along with someone, that you pretend to get along with them. And, I would definitely be probably someone that if I'm out there, Jesse looks like a good actor. I don't know if I would have been able to pick up that he absolutely hates my guts and he will try and vote me out. So, very interesting to see this gameplay from Jesse this episode. More so interested, and this is point number 3 for the takeaways this week, is that Ben is the number 1 target in that tribe, which I am still trying to rack my brain around. I don't understand why Ben is this big threat in this specific tribe. They mentioned, yes, he's a big physical beast, and if he makes the merge, he potentially could run the game with Shay, who's also really good at challenges. But the fact of the matter is, how many people in the history of the show has ever gone on to win every single immunity? And Ben is not the only big physical threat in this game. So for players that aren't that big physical threats out there, like a Sam, she's obviously athletic, I'm not taking that away from her. She's just smaller in stature and similar to Jesse. He's very athletic. He's doing well in the challenges from what I've seen as well, but he's just smaller in stature. These guys can hide behind some of these big alpha guys when it comes to the merge and target them immediately there. So I mean, people may disagree with me on this, but Shay and Ben can't both win immunity every single time, and even if one of them wins it, you just vote the other person out. So I don't know, and there might be things I don't know about what happened behind the scenes, but I don't know why they're the biggest targets for this episode. And you even see Croc pulling people together here this episode, trying to help his friend Ben in the game and trying to take out Khan, who is a legitimate threat. He's got an idol in his pocket. Everybody knows about it, but they keep using him as bait at this point instead of taking him out of the game with that idol that could definitely become more of a threat in this game as they continue on with it. So very interesting gameplay here. What was quite interesting, and I know I'm jumping between point 3 and 2 quite a bit here, but they're kind of intertwined because this was Jesse's plan to target Ben. Is that Jesse thinks the game's too easy. He's got an ability to pull the strings in this tribe, but then we're clearly seeing that people who are older than him in the tribe, they're really starting to get annoyed by this 21-year-old kid who's trying to tell them how to play this game or how to move within the game. And he doesn't look like he's got that respect from someone like a KJ and a Croc, for instance, in this game. KJ saying, I'm 37 years old and I am having to listen to a 21-year-old out here in the game, and she doesn't want to do it. So very interesting. I think Jesse could potentially be a very big target, especially since point number 4, there is an advantage at tribal council, which allows for the winning tribe of the immunity challenge to go over and sit in on the tribal council. And Sam obviously immediately picks up. Last time this happened, a good blindside was stopped by the show and by the twist that the fans don't really like, but for scheduling reasons in Australia, they do bring these non-eliminations in. And I wasn't surprised to see it because they just lost Nina in this episode when they didn't plan to lose someone this early on in the game or in this specific manner. So that means that there's one more person that needs to be saved somewhere down the line for them to be able to meet their scheduling demand with the Channel 10 network. So not surprised to see this, but this big advantage gives the tribe that won the immunity the ability to save someone. And to make this happen, they change things around. They don't allow anybody to talk. They just go straight to the vote. And we see that Ben ultimately is going to get the most votes here. I believe he got 4 or 5 votes. And the other 2 people that got votes were Khan and KJ. KJ being plan B. She's definitely not in a good position in this tribe. There's no one sticking their neck out for her. And Khan being the person that they thought, we'll put some votes on him, maybe get him to flush his idol, or we will try and flush his idol. He's always going to get votes because it's a public idol. But ultimately, what this means is that everybody's safe. The winning tribe, they get to choose someone to come over to their tribe, and it becomes a lot more complicated than just taking the challenge beast Ben and putting them in their tribe. Geordie quite puts it quite well in the sense that he says, like, listen, we've got a great dynamic here. Obviously Shay, I think her stocks may go up a little bit, or Mark's stocks. It's going to be one of the two, and they're going to need her to work with the Alpha Boys because Nina is now out of the equation, and she was very much a part of that core alliance that was running that side. And they don't want Ben to come over there, have his own ideas, influence Shay, and let her go in a different direction. So it makes sense that they were never going to save Ben, even though Shay looks a bit annoyed there at the end at them. I'm sure she'll get over it. They make the decision to bring KJ over. And it's interesting because Mark mentions, he had great relationships with both KJ and Khan. Khan obviously brings the unpredictability of an idol to that tribe, which they don't want to deal with at this point. Fair enough. They get KJ coming over. And I think the biggest winners out of this move is going to be KJ. She didn't have a lot of loyal people there in that tribe. Sam was definitely still keeping an eye on her and thinking about a way to get rid of KJ, I think, because of what happened with Sophie. I feel like Sam probably would never have trusted KJ. And I think that her moving there, she now also benefits Mark's game and potentially someone like Mel's game, Mel's been on the chopping block for a few votes now. They've spoken about potentially taking her out. So those two probably gained the most by her going over there. Point number 5, Mark finds the clue to a hidden immunity idol in a pot at the reward after they won the reward challenge. Mark in this game has been a massive threat, doing so well in all of the challenges that he's participated in. Even in this one, throwing a ball into the hoop, being the first down the slide. Sam saying, "Hey, you're normally not good at shooting balls into hoops and things like that." And he says, "Yeah, I don't know how I did that." And I think the adrenaline's taking over, and he is doing superhuman things while he's out there and doing extremely well. But his target, I think, is just continuing to grow. He's by stature a big guy. He's a leader. I've been talking very highly about his ability potentially to win this game, but he's definitely continuing to get more of a target on his back. And it is definitely not helped by the fact that Geordie sees him get the idol and says that he's going to use that information to his advantage later on. More about Geordie's game. It's interesting that he is willing to sit on that information rather than immediately go and tell people about it, because that shows me that Geordie is a higher caliber player than probably I have even given him credit for up until this point, and probably Ed has given him credit for, because a lot of players would just immediately blurt that information out. So I'm very interested to see how he's going to use this information to either work with Mark, push him into a corner, or get rid of him. But this could be the ammunition he needs to take out a big player like Mark. Mark's read's correct. You know, you find an idol, you don't tell anybody about it. You keep it secret for yourself, because as soon as people know it's a public idol, what's happened to Shay this season, what's happened to Khan this season, that's going to happen. People are going to try and flush it. So those are the big 5 takeaways for me this week. I'm trying to keep it a little bit shorter so people can get through this pretty easily. Let me know what you guys thought of my 5 biggest takeaways. Do you think Mark is in danger now that Geordie knows about it? What's your feelings about Geordie as a player trying to sit on this information? And if Nina was to come back for an all-star season, would you be happy for her to do so? Did you enjoy her game? And would you be happy to have her on Team Australia taking on the USA? That's it for me this episode. I will be back tomorrow night to talk about the next episode. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you like this. Please put a like on the video, subscribe if you want to support the channel, and catch you next time.